Hey there, how you doing? My name is Andrew Malacy and welcome to my virtual workshop. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of the plans I made for my split top Roubo Workbench. And when you open up the Sketchup file, this is what you're going to see. It's going to zoom in like that for you and you'll have an overview of the plans right there. I've got some notes off to the side, some links to the hardware I've used, and just a quick overview of some of the ways I designed this for ease of build and and expediency and cheapness as well, or cost effectiveness. You can just take this tool right here, which is a way that you can just rotate it basically however you want. You can go up and down and side to side. I would recommend, if you don't know how to use SketchUp, just go ahead and watch a lot of Jay Bates's videos on SketchUp. He's just a master at it. He's really impressive. He's who I've been referring to for a lot of my help, and along with Google, of course. If you ever don't like the view you're at, just hit main again and it'll take you back to the front view. It's really cool like that. Some of the real quick features: obviously it's a laminated top, not a solid top, and that's where a lot of the work's going to go in, at least initially. We have a tool well here in the middle, and it's less of a well and more like a rack. You can remove it. I love removing mine to clamp through the middle. I don't use it as a planing stop. I thought I would, and I just don't. We have the wagon vise here with a cheap $20-ish veneer press clamp on the end. We've got the dovetailed end cap, and then I call this right here the end piece. It's just a piece that is glued and doweled in to sort of add stability to the other end as well. I didn't want to go all in on mortising the whole other side, and I didn't have another big block of walnut. That was really nice. I've got this leg vise here, the sliding dead man, and this is actually tongue and groove here on the bottom. Those are all tongue and groove slats. The legs are laminated together. These stretchers are laminated together. The top is mortised and tenoned. The leg is mortised into the top. And there is actually no glue holding it down. It's not doweled or anything. It's just mortised in, free floating more or less. And then you have these lag bolts. As you can see, there's 4 of them, 2 under each side stretcher. Overall dimensions. We'll pull up our tape measure. Length, end to end, 75 inches long by 23 1/8. And that might seem a little arbitrary to you, but it's not. The reason why it's 23 1/8 is because after you rip your 2x10s in half, you cut out the pith or the center of the tree area there, and you get the better woods on the side, the better pieces on the side. You're left with boards that are about 4 inches thick or wide, depending on how you're looking at it. Well, 4 inches this way, the thickness of the top. And then you have boards that are about 1 3/8 across their thickness here. So you have 4, instead of a 2x4, you'll have 1 3/8 by 4. And that'll be a true 1 3/8 by a true 4 inch. So once you send it through the planer and you rip it all down and all that stuff, 1 3/8 is a pretty good thickness there. And then when you laminate 15 of these plus a 2.5 inch well in the middle, you get 23 1/8. I didn't want to add another 1 3/8 on the back because that would give us 24 1/2. And I don't know, I just like this depth. But you are most welcome to do whatever you want. It really would not be that hard. Just add one more board. But then you'd have to actually bump out the undercarriage and all that. It's up to you. So the legs, when you laminate them together, they're going to be 4 inches on the face and then 4 1/8 deep, because you're going to laminate 3 of 1 3/8. And that would be 3 9/8 or 4 1/8 thick. What you can do after that is I just take it one more step and I plane that extra 1/8 of an inch off. And you get a 4x4 leg. The stretchers on the bottom, 4 inches. 4 inches. Stretchers on the top, 4 inches. So as you can see, everything is based off of a 4-inch common measurement, except for the leg vise, really. That is a 3-inch thick vise chop. And then there's one more thing that you have to look out for, and that is this end piece right here. It's lower, it's thinner than the other ones by 1.5 inches, so it's 2.5 inches thick. And that leaves room for your dog holes. See them there? And leaves room for your sliding dead man. You see how the sliding dead man runs right in that track? The only other thing that's really not 4 inches is this right here, and that's the track on which the sliding dead man runs. This board here, like I said, is 4 inches. And then you can either add on that extra piece and glue it on top as it's a triangle. You can see it. Or you can just make the board a little thicker. It's actually 4 11/16 you need the board to be, and then that 11/16 you plane to a point after 4 inches. You just taper it into a triangle or a point. Now, if we shut off the info layer, that will get us rid of those annoying little pieces of information on the side, and then you can actually just go ahead and explore more. Now click over to the measured pieces, and you have all the major components, one of them basically, one of each major component separated out here. Like right here is just your common board for the top with all the measurements. There's your dovetail board for the top. Here's your dog hole row for the top, your sliding dead man. Here's a leg, and it's got a lot of different measurements on it with all the mortises, even your tongue and groove. This is your common tongue and groove board for the shelving on the bottom, and these are the ones that have to go around the legs at the bottom. Here's the dovetailed in end cap with a hole for the wagon vise to go through. All the measurements there. This is the end piece I was telling you about. It's just a 2.5 inch by 3/4 inch board that runs the length or depth at the top. So there you go. Again, we go back to measured pieces, we click it, and it zooms us out. Go over to main, it'll bring back the info. So we just unclick info if you want to get rid of it. I can't stress enough that if you don't use SketchUp, or if you've never used it, or if you never used it, or you not very familiar with it, I would say definitely get familiar with it. It really helps for you to think things out and just to see what it looks like before you actually start cutting the wood. Now, if you were to buy these plans, which I have a link to, you'd get this SketchUp file, which in and of itself is great, but it's a little lacking for actual instruction. In which case, I'd say don't fret, because part of the digital download you get for buying the plans is this 55 pages of really detailed plans. All I ask, as you can see, is I priced it at $10, and all I ask is that you please don't distribute this. Just keep it for yourself. Don't be sharing it online. Go ahead and print it off, no problem. But again, please, I put many hours into this, just like I said here. So I've got links that you can see my own tour of my workbench to get an idea if these plans aren't enough. And also, if you do build a bench based off of my plans, I'd love to link to your video. So send me some videos. All these links here will actually they're active. These table of contents, they're active links. So let's start with abbreviations. These should be pretty well known, but if they're not, they're there. You get a shopping list. As far as I know, this is everything that you'll need material-wise, not including your tools, from your 2x10s to just some hardwood, some lag screws and washers. Then the hardware that I used, Now, I will say I didn't show how to install the hardware in this because I'm assuming that if you want to use this, that's fine, but you might want to go in high end and get bench crafted. Also the poly and the paste wax and all that stuff. I used half a gallon of wood glue, so you might want to just go ahead and get the gallon. Here's a cut list, and I even tell you more or less what order you should cut it in. If you follow this cut list straight down, it'll help you maximize the yield of your 12 boards. Why Southern Yellow Pine? I've got a rationale for that. How to pick it out well. So processing the boards, I take you through it all and say you should start with the widest pieces first. The pieces that if you accidentally leave it short, you're gonna have to go out and buy more because there's X piece that needs to be this width or length. Let me just say I've gone through a lot of trouble to make sure that this is as clear as possible. And I would really hope that if you find something to be unclear or unsatisfactory, or if you're just not sure, just please reach out to me. I'd love to help you and correct the issue if possible. Let me just give you a quick sample of one of the sections, the layout of the dovetail board that's going to be, well, dovetailed into the end cap. I didn't use like a 5-to-1 or a 6-to-1 or an 8-to-1 ratio or 1-to-8 or whatever you want to say. I wanted to keep it as formulaic as possible. So if you leave 2 3/4 on the end of the board, that'll be your very front board, which I call the dovetail board. You're going to measure in 1/2 inch, then 3/4 inch, then 1 1/2, then 1 3/4 on each side. Then, if you just connect dots from the 3/4 to the 1/2, then the 1 1/2 to 1 3/4, this is the angle you end up with. It looks like it's a nice angle. It's a very, it gives a 1/2 inch on the end here, so it's very strong still for your, for the pins on the half blind dovetail on the end cap. It leaves you with a lot of meat here. I don't make the dovetail the full width of the board because we want to leave a little meat behind it. And I explain all this. So that's really about it. It's that straightforward. The plans are, I hope, really, really detailed for you. And like I said, I just hope that you're able to, that if you want to go ahead and pull the trigger on getting these, that you're going to find them extremely useful and that it's going to make your life that much better and enjoyable when you're going through this process of creating what could be an heirloom quality workbench for yourself and maybe for your kids and grandchildren. I know that mine, I'm expecting it to last a good long time. That said, I just want to thank you for watching this video and taking the time to just look at my channel in general. I hope you found this video, again, enjoyable and useful, and I'll see you next time.